Rolls.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. As everybody's aware, we're getting a relatively late start. We have a very, very large docket just for people's planning purposes out here. Know that we'll have another meeting, obviously, a week from today, this Monday. And if your bill still hasn't been heard, just put on your calendar, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday. We'll be meeting probably Thursday. Across from Ed and Health. That'll be interesting. Okay. Will probably be Thursday, so not this week, but next week we'll have a meetings on Monday and then Thursday. So with that, before I get started, one thing I was remiss in my duties was we have, and where'd they go? Just when you're getting ready to introduce 2 pages, they disappear on you. Probably because, I'm sorry? I'm sorry. No, that's all right. I can introduce. Okay, I have 2 more opportunities to introduce them, so we'll hold that thought right now. On your docket, you'll see first Senate Bill 1597. I'll take and Chair will entertain a motion to refer to Finance. It's been moved and seconded. 1597, Senator Saslow's bill be referred to Committee on Finance. Clerk, open the rolls. Okay, that bill is out of here.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Okay, that bill's gone. Just for your planning purposes now, Senate Bill 1266, Senate Bill 1290, those are Senator Saslow's bills, and Senate Bill 1636 and 1639. Without objection, we'll go by for the day. Hearing none, those bills are by for the day. All right. I'm going to appoint a subcommittee. Senator Chafin, who's graciously volunteered to chair it. It'll be Senator Chafin, Senator Cosgrove, and Senator Dance will be on the Coal Ash Study Committee to work on that. So those are the 3 members that will be on the Coal Ash Committee. And those 3 bills, that'll be Senate Bill 1009, Senator Chase's, my bill, Senate Bill 1355, and Senate Bill 1534, Senator Surville's bill. All right. Having done all of that, first on the agenda is Senator DeSteffe. Senator DeSteffe, you have
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm here with Senate Bill 1169. This is a great pro-business bill. What it does is it prohibits the Apprenticeship Council from adopting standards for apprenticeship agreements governing the numeric ratio of journeymen to apprentice that require more than 1 journeyman for 2 apprentices. This bill is supported by our plumbers, our electricians, everybody in the building industry. This bill is opposed by LUNA, the Labor Employee Cooperation and Education Trust Union, and we've had about 8 union members tell us that the unions all oppose this bill. I believe that it's easy for a journeyman to oversee apprentices, and that we shouldn't have a 2-to-1 ratio the way we do today, especially when it comes to electricians, plumbing, carpenters, and other types of journeymen like that. So a very simple bill, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a right-to-work bill. It creates jobs. And in Virginia Beach and Hampton Roads, we need a lot more jobs.
Okay. Are there questions for the patron? All right, one more announcement I have to make because of the docket we have and the docket that's still remaining on the calendar. I'm going to give each side 3 minutes total. And at that point, we're going to go ahead and vote. So I'm going to start the timer. And those in favor of the bill.
Mr. Chairman, Nicole Raleigh with NFIB, also speaking on behalf of ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. We support the bill. A lot of our members have been complaining here in recent years about the lack of skilled workforce when it comes to a lot of these contracting issues. We believe this would help them be able to have more folks under the apprenticeship. Thank you. We support the bill.
Thank you. Are there others that wish to speak in favor of the bill? Hearing none, we will now hear from the opposition. Is there anyone opposed to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, committee, my name is Jason Parker. I'm with the Virginia State Building and Construction Trades Council. I oppose the bill because I have trained apprentices. I am a journeyman wireman in the state of Virginia, been a journeyman for 30 years. I've also been on the Hampton Roads Journeyman Training Committee. I oppose this bill because you're putting young people into danger in some very intense environments. Construction is inherently dangerous, especially for those who first enter it. And when you put somebody into a heavy industrial environment and you ain't watching them and making sure they understand what can hurt them, items like confined spaces, particulates in the air, arc flash, electrocution, falls, slips, trips, hazards, and all these other things, you're really kind of putting blood on your own hands in this. And when I came into this trade many years ago, I watched a young man lose his arm, had to help carry him out, watched the spit get boiled out of his mouth. He laid in a cold puddle of blood with his eyes rolled back, wide open, talking in syllables. Happens just that fast, and there's no rewind button. And I'd be very careful with our young people going into the trades. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Felix Shapiro. I'm here on behalf of the Northam administration to express opposition to this bill out of concern for safety and quality of instruction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Jason Wheeler. I'm a carpenter from Chesterfield County. I actually went through a 4-year apprenticeship program from 2002 to 2006. And I think it's definitely a concern for injuries and possibly loss of life out there on the job site. If you look at the injury statistics, you can see the majority of injuries are falls or people being run over or pinch points by equipment. And I think that showed you there are a lot of people that are not familiar with moving through a construction site safely. Typically apprenticeships, for the first year or so, it's a lot of safety training. It's just important to know how to move through the site without being injured, I don't think it's not a matter of a red or blue or right or wrong. This is a matter of life and death, honestly. And hopefully all oppose this. If not, it will cost Virginians lives. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
The laborers union opposes this bill because it undermines safety, and with fewer experienced journeymen, productivity and quality suffer on a project. So our contractors face fines and penalties when scheduling deadlines and safety requirements go unmet. So we actually have a lot of concerns about what this does for Virginia businesses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very, very much. Okay, Senator Steph, you want to wrap up?
Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, we've looked across the board at the electricians, the plumbers, the folks who do asbestos removal, et cetera, and unfortunately, in the construction fields, there's accidents all the time. There's accidents with seasoned individuals, there's accidents with junior individuals, there's accidents with people who have been doing it for 40 or 50 years. It's from not paying attention or not following proper procedures and protocol, more than it is not an apprenticeship out there doing something inappropriately. So I believe that this is a good bill. I believe this is a good right-to-work bill, and therefore I ask for your support of it.
Yep. Thank you, Senator Steph. Okay, committee operates by motion. Been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 1169 be reported. Clerk, open the rolls.
Ten ayes, 4 nays.
10 ayes, 4 nays. The bill's reported, Senator
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This will put people back to work. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Favola.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My bill is Senate Bill 1673. And you've probably seen a version of it before. It is a prevailing wage bill. And it would require state agencies, if they are going to be issuing a contract, to, part of the request for proposal phase, I guess, they would actually require respondents to come in with proposals where the prevailing wage would be part of the proposal. The prevailing wage, of course, would be determined by our Commissioner of Labor, but they would be working off of the federal construct of the Davis-Bacon Act. Couple positive things about prevailing wages. 32 states do have them. We would be leveling the playing field, so all of the respondents for a state contract would have to agree to pay the prevailing wage, so that would be settled. You know, again, and we're not putting an undue burden because respondents can decide whether or not they want to, whether they want to even participate in the request for proposal. It gives us a lot of investment in our workforce. And we have to remember an unskilled workforce really is very wasteful. We have received, there are studies out that show there's a fair amount of quality and actually safety is improved in jobs that really do use prevailing wage. So that's the beginning and end of my presentation. I'm happy to go through some of the specifics. And you know, unions are not the sole determiner of the prevailing wage rate. So everything has been negotiated, again, within the framework of the federal regulatory process.
Okay, are there questions for the patron?
I do have speakers, too.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, let's hear from those in favor of the bill. I'm going to start the timer.
What is 818?
Yes, sir.
Chairman. I'm in favor of this bill because, first of all, prevailing rate ends up increasing apprenticeships in every state that it's in. It creates an actual career for construction workers, which creates more retention in the trade. It's 60% favorable with voters when polled. It is a great thing to have. It's cost for construction is about 23% of the actual cost, and they find, study after study finds that doesn't cost the state any more money because of efficiencies found within the experience of the workforce. I definitely support it. I think this would be great for Virginia. I know we're struggling to get people into the trades, and this would be a great way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, Thomas Bowman with the Laborers and Employers Cooperation and Education Trust. With the prevailing wage rates, they protect taxpayer investments by ensuring public projects are built to the highest standards. So they include investment in training and apprenticeship programs, which not only provide a career path for workers, but also ensure that projects are built to the highest standards of quality. When you keep the wages low, it actually reduces on-the-job productivity. And for example, in a study of highway and bridge work, they found that when high-wage workers were paid double that of low-wage workers, they built 74 more miles of roadbed and 32 more miles of bridges for $500 billion less. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other speakers, Senator Favolo?
I do not, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a fiscal impact statement attached to my notebook, but there might be one, so you
I do have a letter from the
I
Chairman
would
of
think you
Finance.
probably
do.
want to
Okay.
re-refer this with all.
Okay,
due
are
respect.
those opposed to this legislation?
Hi, Mr. Chairman, Keith Martin with Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We're concerned that this will increase costs and discourage competition. For those reasons, we oppose the bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nicole Raleigh with NFIB. I'm also authorized to speak on behalf of ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors, and AGC, Associated General Contractors. And for those same reasons, we're also opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Are there others? Senator Hovenshade.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate what the gentlelady is trying to do. My part of Virginia, I've heard about this issue and related issues like Davis-Bacon Act and others from my contractors, and what they've seen is, particularly on projects with federal money, that this doesn't have the impact that I think that we'd like to see. What it really does is it creates a situation where all of a sudden some of these big out-of-state union shops can come in and be competitive on jobs that they otherwise couldn't be competitive on, and it's costing Virginia businesses, particularly in regions like the region I represent, costing them an awful lot of business. I think it's it's a bad precedent. Federal government has its problems, and this is just us trying to emulate the bad practices of the federal government with great respect and affection for. So I move to pass the bill by indefinitely. Thank you.
I have a motion properly supported to pass the bill by indefinitely. Clerk, open the rolls.
11 ayes, 4 nays.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Senator Favalda. Senator Black, I'm going to take a little bit out of order. Senator McPike, I apologize. He's got somewhere he wants to go. We all do, but I understand. Senator Black, quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Senate Bill 1041, and this is a bill that we had the no-call, do not call list, which worked very well for years, and then people basically began to offshore. We do have an amendment.
All right, clerk, report. It's an amendment nature substitute. Is there a motion on substitute? Been moved and seconded that substitute to 1041 be adopted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Substitutes before us. Senator Black.
So in any event, what has happened is people have started to offshore these things. So what this bill does is it says that if people start receiving these commercial solicitations by telephone, that they can take action in general court, and there will be a presumption that it was made at the behest of the particular company that it's advertising. However, there is it's a rebuttable presumption, and because we're in general district court, we're not talking about lots of legal fees and so forth. So if by chance someone is playing a hoax or something, the business owner can come in and say, this is absolutely nothing that I had anything to do with, and the court can evaluate that and make a decision. The damages are limited to $500 for each violation. They can go up for willful violations to $1,500. And that is the gist of the bill. Basically, it's trying to sort of reinstitute the do not call list in a practical way, still giving the businessman the option of coming into court and rebutting it.
Thank you. Do you have anybody, questions of the patron? Okay, do you have anybody to speak in favor of the bill, Senator Black? Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Dan Stapleton from Haymarket. And just a few points. The bill seeks to overcome several problems with the existing legislation, like Senator Black mentioned. A few points. Most countermeasures are of little use. The do not call list doesn't really work. Call blockers don't really work because telemarketers don't use the same phone number. The telemarketer identity, as you mentioned, is almost never known or revealed to the called party, but it's linked by commerce back to the seller who gets paid for the product or service. The existing laws are of little use. A defense attorney can successfully claim that my client did not make that phone call, and that's true. Without the bill would require the seller to be responsible for the quality of the sales lead that they accept to ensure that telemarketers follow the rules, and that's very important. The approach ignores the international boundaries that we have problems with. I get calls from India regularly, or Pakistan, or wherever the accent comes from, and this is an important aspect of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there those opposed to the legislation? It's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 1041 be reported. Clerk, open the rolls. Hang on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hang on a second. There you go. Yeah.
13 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Yeah. Can you record Senator Norman as a yes?
Yes, I would like to vote yes.
It's in front of you.
Okay, all right.
It's in front of you.
Oh, I've got to
All right,
place it?
Senator Black,
Okay.
you're out of here. Senator McPike.
All right.
We have a long docket, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1176, and we have a substitute.
Okay, is there a motion on substitute? Been moved and seconded that substitute be agreed to. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the substitute's before us. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill arises out of an incident that happened in my district. Back in February 2016, just after taking office, I had a house explode. The strange thing was the house didn't actually have natural gas run to it, but it exploded from a natural gas leak. The house was actually disconnected from gas 2 years prior. The issue that occurred was a leak persisted within the neighborhood despite numerous 911 calls and incidents. Until finally they called again. We had fire department respond out there. They evacuated the house, and 2 minutes after the house evacuated, it exploded. So this was kind of a big deal to my district and the community that it happened in. And the follow-up SEC investigation took many months. In fact, during that time, they found 25 additional grade 1 leaks in that neighborhood. They found the need to do roughly 1,000 replacements of gas lines after that. Now, the gas company involved, I think, did a good job in following up to make sure that the lines were replaced in coordination with the SEC investigation team, as well as having to repave the roads in that community because it was so extensive. The issue and the reason why I've brought this bill is because after all of that, I called, and after the investigation concluded, I called the SEC and requested in writing a report of exactly what happened. And I was told, no, you can't have anything. So I couldn't respond to actually my constituents on what occurred and what systematic failures occurred throughout their community that caused not only the house to explode, but their line replacements, the 1,000+ line replacements throughout the community, and sort of report back outside of what was in the settlement agreement. And so this outlines a procedure for folks to do that once a report is concluded. It sets the threshold at $50,000 consistent with federal law in this case, as well as with in cases of injury.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt for just a second because Senator Sproul asked that his bill be rolled into yours.
Yes.
Okay, and Senator Sproul, you're happy with the amendment in nature substitute we adopted, okay? Is there any, ask the clerk, do we need to make any motions to roll it in? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, the motion is to incorporate the two bills. Do I hear that motion? Been moved and seconded that we incorporate Senator Sproul's 1670 into Senator McPike's bill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Did you have to take a recorded? Oh, okay. Clerk, open the roll. Hang on. Let me get Norman. There you go. Okay. Okay, they've been incorporated. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr.
Are there
Chairman.
questions for the patron?
So the substitute that before you represents comments from both the State Corporation Commission attorneys as well as working with stakeholders with gas companies. And so
Okay.
we've adopted a number of provisions to make sure we're covering all bases today.
Let me do it this way. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation as it's currently formed? Hearing none.
Move the report as amended.
Been moved and seconded that the bill be reported as amended. Clerk, open the rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay. Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got two bills. Senate Bill 1711, I'm going to ask for it to go by to see if we can't work out something.
Okay. Without objection, 1711's by for the day. You have another bill.
Next bill, Mr. Chairman, is a bill that came to me reference a constituent who farms from Abingdon. And in Virginia, the lemon law doesn't cover agriculture equipment. And he's been going through Yeah, 1513 is the bill.
Okay.
It's, it basically doesn't cover, the lemon law doesn't cover agriculture equipment, and what has happened is in the purchase of a piece of equipment and farm equipment, there's problems that had arisen with coolant system and so forth with the tractor that he had. And it had a 1-year warranty on it, and when you replace a part and it fails again, there's no warranty left, and basically leaves the individual with no remedy other than, just being stuck with a bad piece of equipment. I know that a lot of these manufacturers have been notified when this happens, and this situation, the tractor had been repaired, I think, 4 times, and they were not able to get anything for the repairs. So they followed up with a lawsuit that's currently being done in the courts, trying to get remedy for that piece of equipment. However, with no avail, are they making headway, still trying to make remedy with it. And because Virginia has no lemon law on agriculture equipment, that's why they resorted to call me and ask me to carry forth legislation.
Senator Carrico, we have a long tradition of not taking up legislation while it's under litigation, but do you have anybody here to speak in favor of the bill?
I don't think there's anyone here.
Okay. Is there anyone here that's opposed to the bill? What's that? Yeah, why don't we hold this for a week, and take another look at it next Monday? I'm just, it's a pretty big step, and we got a bill under litigation, and we're about ready to put every farm dealer, every international harvester, John Deere tractor out there. I see a lot of lobbyists out there scribbling notes right now. And, I mean, we're applying lemon law to a whole new section. Yes, Senator Spruill.
Don't you think if there's a lobbyist or someone who would oppose it or have a problem, why they not here?
I will say, Mr. Chairman, in full disclosure, I was approached by Farm Bureau. I don't think the organization actually opposes it, but they have dealers that do, so.
Well, yeah, why don't we just hold for a week? A lot of times, in the rush of all this legislation, we do it. Senator Spruill.
I'm a whole lot, brother. I'm a whole lot.
All right.
I know.
All right.
And when you win the lottery, I'm changing my name to Spruill. I'll be the 18th brother.
Well, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Senator Carrico, thank you. Okay, Senator Serval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is 1548. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, 1548 is a bill this committee saw twice last session. Reported out of committee 12-3, then it came back and reported out of committee 12-2, maybe 12-2, then 12-3, reported out of the Senate 38-2 before it went to the House.
What bill are we on? 1548. Okay.
Right, and there's not a single change in it from last time.
Not a single change in it from last time.
Basically, it's
what happened to the bill?
Well, you can ask the chairman of Commerce and Labor. Maybe he can explain. He didn't really tell me exactly.
Are you talking on the House side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be careful how you phrase it.
All I know is it was killed over there. As I explained last time, we all know there's a series of different licenses. We have a license for banks, one for savings institutions, one for credit unions, one for motor vehicle title lenders or car title. We have payday, and we have consumer finance companies. And these are all separate licenses. They're separate silos. They're separate parts of the code. This bill only deals with the consumer finance companies. And at one of the hearings last year, I was asked who are we talking about. These are companies like Mariner Finance, Lendmark Finance, Regional Finance, Atlantic Financial Service, Franklin Finance, Bynum Finance, and One Main. These are companies that are brick and mortar shops. They have storefronts. They don't do internet loans. They are and they've been in existence since, I think, 1915 or 1914, I want to say. They make loans to people at lower interest rates, typically 36% or less. People who are not credit risks, they do credit checks. Their default rates are an average of 5%. They have very low default rates, and they have a totally different business model than a lot of the other sort of higher interest loan models that are out there. These people would like to re-regulate their title. And so basically what this bill does is it adjusts the minimum and the maximum amounts of consumer finance loans at $535,000. It requires the loans to be installment loans. It puts a 36% rate cap on the loans. It authorizes late payment fees, loan processing fees, and it adjusts the late fees and increases the bad check fee. But it's a bill that's requested by the consumer finance companies to re-regulate their industry. Right now, they officially have no rate cap, but these companies, the ones that I listed, don't make loans over 36%, so they don't see the need to have no rate cap. They want a rate cap, and they want these other conditions placed on it. And we passed it last year, again, out of this committee, 12-2 and 12-3, out of the full Senate, 38-2.
Okay. I think we understand the bill.
And just the one last thing, really quick, I'll say is the only person that's come to speak to me against this Title Max has a problem with it. There's not been a single other person that's registered an objection to it to me, although I've heard there may be people lobbying this without talking to me. But only one person's come to me to say they're going to speak today.
Okay, well, let's find out. Are there theirs opposed to this bill?
Okay, maybe you had talked to me a long time ago.
Clock's ticking. Clock's ticking.
Mr. Chairman, Nicole Brenner with Reed Smith. On behalf of the Online Lenders Alliance, we ask you to oppose this legislation. 85% of our customers have a credit score under 650. These customers need access to capital, and banks and brick and mortar lenders are usually unable or unwilling to provide credit. We offer reliable and unsecured access to funds for this population. Senator Sturvell mentioned all the other industries that are currently in the code. Every other rate cap that's been placed in the code for a sector of the lending industry was the result of a stakeholder process. There was a stakeholder process for our industry that resulted in legislation, and that is not this piece of legislation. This bill tries to codify one business model that includes a steep processing fee and add-on products that are not the subject of the rate cap. Consumers should be able to choose the product that works for them. We view these practices as unfair to competitors who do not add ancillary products outside of the APR and would hide the true cost of the loan from the consumer. This legislation seeks to circumvent the normal stakeholder process and allows consumer finance companies to conceal the true cost of their product, and I ask you to oppose it.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Chris White with the Vector Corporation. I'm here on behalf of Title Max. We would agree with the testimony made by Ms. Brenner. Additionally, I'd bring up two other points. Our main objection to this piece of legislation is that it contains a 36% rate cap. It's well known that 36% rate caps on short-term consumer loans is an effective ban on those products and services, and in turn limits access to credit that individuals require. Interest cap rates actually harm consumers because they need access to short-term credit products, and that access simply does not disappear once an interest rate cap is implemented. Additionally, Mr. Chairman, I would mention that Title Max is a licensed consumer finance company. We do hold a consumer finance license at the State Corporation Commission, so to characterize this as the entire industry is asking for this bill, we would object to, and we would ask that the bill not move forward today.
Thank you, Chris. Are there others in 42 seconds? Seeing none. Okay, are there those, do you have people in support of the bill? All right.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Jeff Smith, representing Virginia Financial Services Association. This industry's been around since 1918. There are no hidden fees. There are no indirect costs that aren't disclosed to borrowers. I'm in my 42nd General Assembly. I wouldn't be here 42 years if I didn't tell you the truth. Now, suggesting that one of the companies, being a title company, coming in recently as the last few years, does not make an industry. And I would suggest to you, as far as confusion goes, we have done the work. We know in interviewing borrowers who come into our shop as the historical finance company to get an affordable installment loan, they said they had this 300% interest rate loan. Can you help me get out of it? It is a title loan, and we need to get out of it. Well, when we look at it, it wasn't a title loan, it was a consumer finance loan. So the customer goes into a title loan office and comes out with a consumer finance loan because the consumer finance industry is deregulated. They don't know what they're doing. And so what we're trying to do is bring back the path that has existed forever for consumer finance companies. And that's all this does. Title Max can keep making their title loans. Internet lenders can keep making their internet loans. It doesn't affect them. It only affects licensed consumer finance companies.
Thank you. With a minute and 12 seconds left.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Dave Urban with the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General supports the legislation. We think there are three significant positives here. This preserves and modernizes the lending lane that consumer finance companies and small loan companies before them have operated and used responsibly for 100 years. Second, the bill closes a loophole by extending the interest rate cap of 36% across the board to all loans made by consumer finance companies. And third, by authorizing a processing fee, this will encourage and incentivize consumer finance companies to make true small loans, loans in the neighborhood of $500 to $1,000 to $1,500. Thank you. We urge you to support the bill.
Thank you.
Jay Spear with the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we support the legislation as well. And we support the consumer finance companies, which are a good alternative for our clients.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeff Caruso with the Virginia Catholic Conference, for many of the reasons stated earlier, to support the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're here to close. We want to wrap up quickly?
Sure. I'll just say that in terms of the Title Max being a consumer finance company, Mr. Chairman, I think you'll remember you sent a letter to them and several other lenders who had co-located consumer finance companies in title lending storefronts. You and Senator Saslaw sent the letter that asked them to stop issuing consumer finance loans out of the title storefronts, and they stopped doing that. And so I believe they've, unless I'm mistaken, they've stopped making these consumer finance loans. And, while the internet lenders and some of the other folks might have questions, this isn't their title. This is like one business complaining about another business. Internet lenders don't do business under this title. I think we just need to pass the bill we passed last year and let me deal with it over in the House.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Senator Chafin.
Yes, sir. And I spoke with Senator Serval earlier today, and last year I did support this bill. But also going on at that same time, Chairman Kilgore had a bill over in the other body, and that bill was the result of a working group, and ultimately he struck his bill. And so I told Senator Serval that, I feel like that this ought to go to a work group. It ought to be industry-wide, and not just a few, and therefore I'm not going to be able to support the bill.
Thank you. There are others that wish to comment.
I can talk about the work group. I can talk about the work group if anyone wants me to. I was in it.
Okay. All right, committee operates by motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. Clerk, open the roll.
Five ayes, 9 nays, 1 abstention.
Okay. Bill fails to report. Thank you. Senator Marston, you have just one bill today.
Mr. Chairman, I believe someone spoke to you and there was a willingness on your part to take Senate Bill 1566 by for the week while you worked on some, is this the fantasy sports?
Begrudgingly, I will let it go by for the week.
Okay. Great, thank you.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right.
Okay. Senator Price. Senator Mason. Thanks, sir. Yep. Who did? Oh, Senator Marston, you had one more bill. 1017. Oh, the minimum wage bill.
That's it. Having
heard the debate today,
having heard the debate today,
do I hear a
I'm not
motion to
gonna
move to PBI? I see a motion properly seconded to pass the bill by indefinitely. Clerk, open the roll. Oh.
You can vote me.
Okay, clerk, close.
9 ayes, 5 nays.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that bill's carried. Sorry, Senator Marston.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Senator Mason.
One push, one PBI. Time to pass one, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 1415.
That's.
I learned something new here, Mr. Chairman. It seems that we have public adjusters in the world that will come and help you with your insurance claim. The problem is with all the wind, snow events that we've had recently, we also have people riding through the neighborhood saying, hey, I can help you out. I'll take care of your insurance claim. I'll file your paperwork. We'll take care of the repair. All you have to do is sign this tablet, and I got it. I'll take it from here. And unfortunately, some of these folks are fairly unscrupulous, and then they get a percentage of the settlement. They'll also do the repairs they may or may not be qualified for. So in working with the State Corporation Commission on another matter, they asked me on behalf of the public adjusters to clarify what soliciting means and clarify what a licensed adjuster can do, which you'll find on line 49 to 56. So interesting, in the last year, I had 110 instances of this happen in the state of Virginia. So the National Association of Public Insurance Adjusters support the bill because they're doing it the right way and want to make sure everybody else is.
Thank you. I think the committee understands the bill. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation? All the insurers in the audience are happy with it? Okay, committee operates by motion.
I move be reported.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be reported. Clerk, open the roll.
Fourteen ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
Okay, bill's reported. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Senator Marston, Senator Mason. Okay, we are through the list of outside folks, and Senator Chafin is gone. Senator Sturdivant? Gone. Senator Serville's taken care of. Senator Donovan? Gone. Senator Saslaw, you have 1609. Would you like to handle that one now?
Yeah, I wonder. Thanks, Doc. You want to do it from here, Mr. Chairman? Want me to do it from here?
Yeah, you can do it from there. That's fine. Oh, Senator Serville, is he gone? Yeah, get him back.
All right. Mr. Chairman, this is Senate Bill 1609. Over the last few years, we've noticed a big decline in small community banks opening, and this just removes, one of the obstacles. What it does is, if you look down on line 19 of the bill, it says that they have to be, it says money received for the purchases of stock of a bank before it opens shall be deposited in an escrow account in an insured financial institution and investigated, and under the joint control of 2 organizing directors of the bank. And this is the struck language, both of whom shall be bonded for an amount equal to the total amount of the money to be collected. I mean, there weren't problems before, but anyways, this is the only change. And it also repeals, I had it here, it repeals 6.2-818. Frank Munyon, Frank, you have that. What did that control again?
That's the provision that prohibits a bank from commencing business if commissions have been paid in connection with the sale.
Yeah, and that was barred before, and this would, by repealing this would get rid of that, that prohibition.
All right.
It's a short, just sentence says, commission shall not issue a certificate of authority to any bank to commence business if commission fees, brokerage, or other compensation have been paid or contracted to be paid. And I don't know many businesses that have that prohibition, but I don't see where it's necessary. Anyways, that's the gist of the bill.
All right, thank you.
To make it easier to open up these small community banks, to
Yeah.
start one.
Okay, any questions for the patron?
Remember, there's plenty of regulations,
I
both at
understand.
state and federal level.
Right.
so.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in favor of the bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Matt Bruning with the Virginia Bankers Association. Senator Sassel explained what the bill does. These are two restrictions on de novo banks, new bank formation that we don't see at the federal level or in some of our surrounding states. We haven't had a new bank in Virginia since 2009. And obviously with the economic conditions, we're a big part of that. But as we look to encourage more new bank formation in Virginia, we believe removing these two obstacles to new bank formation will be helpful as hopefully so we have some new charters in Virginia. We encourage you to support the
You
bill.
need more clients, we understand, we understand. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation? Seeing none. Okay, committee operates by motion. Moved and second that the bill be reported. Clerk, open the rolls.
Fifteen ayes, 0 nays.
15 ayes, 0 nays. All right. Mason out of the way, we got Sassel out of the way. Norman's not here. Donovan's not here. I guess that leaves me. What's that? Oh, no. We've carried those over to next week. All right, I have two bills. Mark, do you want to take the committee? All right. That's fine.
All right, Senator Wagner.
I have two bills for the committee. The first bill is Senate Bill 1695. There's amendment in nature substitute, and I'd ask the committee to adopt the substitute.
All right, Senator Wagner moves, Senator Stewart seconds the adoption of substitute. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, substitute's before us.
Okay, and as you know, Mr. Chairman, we have a dearth, in other words, not enough mega sites ready to go. And we have lost economic development opportunity after economic development opportunity across the state to other states simply because we don't have sites ready to go. So we start to dig in, find out why we don't have sites ready to go, and what you find out is they don't have the utilities to the site. So this doesn't run utilities to a site. What this does is allow the right-of-way to be secured to run those utilities to a site, and that includes everything. That includes electricity, gas, high-speed internet, any of the other things that could be associated that you would associate with what you'd expect to see if you're a prospective client. A new industry is not going to come to Virginia and say, I want to use that site there, and then wait a year, 2 years to get the permits, to find the right-of-ways, to do those kinds of things. For industry, for manufacturers, time is money. And I think it's absolutely imperative that we do this. I ran a similar bill like this a couple of years ago to have the propane people somewhat upset about it. They have taken another look at this bill and realized overall it's good. And they would, if you want to hear from them, would be prepared to speak, to say, yes, they have no objections to the bill, and quite frankly, I think they support the bill. So we've tried to get all the different stakeholders involved in this, and I think all of us can agree, particularly when we look at areas in Southside Virginia and around there where there used to be manufacturing, what's holding up new manufacturing coming in, and I think certainly the ability to put infrastructure into place, or the certainty that the infrastructure can be put into place to potential new mega sites or large industrial development sites, we should proceed ahead. And that's what the bill does, Mr. Chairman, and I have some
Senator
speakers.
Chairman Wagner, you can have as much time as you'd like on this bill. But
Being the chair is
as
good.
I
would ask
recall,
those-
my recollection, it was just confirmed that this is virtually identical to the bill that you had 2 years ago. It had to pass both chambers, was signed into law, it had a reenactment clause on it, wasn't brought back in large part, I guess, because of the
Some of the objections.
concerns by some of the propane folks, some of whom were in my district. If Let's just see if anybody is here in opposition to the bill.
Mr. Chairman, I move to report.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Stewart. My good friend Richard, Mr. Stewart.
All right, there's a motion properly seconded to report the bill. The roll is open.
Shit, I'm gonna open it.
14 ayes, 1 nay.
All right,
Okay,
that
bill's
bill
reported.
reports.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, I'm not the chairman right now.
Next bill.
Okay, I have Senate Bill 1696, Mr. Chairman, and this came as a result of some concerns amongst a number of people about proper payment to employees, and requires that each employer provide on a regular payday a written statement or a pay stub.
Gosh, a lot of people were here to talk in favor of that last bill, and they're all vacating the room. I'm sorry.
That's because they don't oppose this one, Mr. Chairman, and they saw no reason to hang out. So, it just basically says name, address of the employer, number of hours worked, pay period, and the rate of pay. And there is an exemption. There's an amendment I'd like to propose, Mr. Chairman, if the clerk would read that amendment. And what it does is carve out for farmers, because I was informed that farmers just don't work this way.
All right, let's hear the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 1, line 47, after employer, insert other than an employer engaged in agricultural employment, including agribusiness and forestry.
Sounds like a really outstanding amendment to me.
Okay, I'll move that amendment.
Sarah
Mr.
Wagner moves, Senator Stanley seconds that amendment. All in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. That amendment is adopted.
And there may be some opposition, Mr. Chairman, from people that just don't want to give an employee a pay stub, but I'll be delighted to hear from them if they're
We'll see how, let's see. Let's hear from, is anybody here in support of the bill first? You want to register your support? I think Senator Wagner did a really good job of explaining it.
I'm Kim Bobo, Director of the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. We do support this bill. Lots of low-wage workers don't know how many hours they're being paid for. They don't understand it. This would help that. And the pay stub could even be a handwritten pay stub. Employers already have to calculate the information, so it's not new information. And if they want to get a program, it only costs $100. So I don't think this is a huge burden on business, and it would actually help workers, and it would help the state because we'd be a better assurance that people are paying their payroll taxes.
So are all those employers who are going to buy that $100 software, do they require broadband in order to be able to use that?
I don't know, sir.
Okay.
But
I asked that question for Sarah McDougal's benefit, and he wasn't even in the room.
I don't know, sorry.
Well, I would just say this, Mr. Chairman, I never had broadband when I ran my companies, and they all got pay stubs, so.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Committee, Warren Hoddle, Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. I just want to remind the committee that a pay stub is a passport to the above-ground economy. It's necessary for housing, banking, ownership, credit, and accurate reporting of taxes. It brings people into citizenship. I hope you'll support it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak in favor? Yes, sir. Step right up.
Yes, Todd Guess from Winchester, Virginia, pastor of Mount Zion United Methodist Church.
I thought you were from Shenandoah County.
I live in Winchester, but pastor two churches in Shenandoah County.
Well, good to have the Shenandoah Valley here. Gentle fold in the palm of God's hand.
I share that this can be easily done because this has been done for years in the state where I grew up in, which was West Virginia. And I worked in agriculture and actually got pay stubs, and that was in 1991 and 92.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Let's hear from those who are in opposition to the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Nicole Raleigh with NFIB. Our opposition is just that farmers are not necessarily the only types of industries that would be using. A lot of small business owners are very, very small folks, particularly in rural areas, still write a lot of checks just out of their checkbook. We did ask for potentially a delayed enactment date of July 1st of next year so that we could have plenty of time to inform employers, make sure that they do know what this would now be a new requirement of them. That would be certainly something we would entertain. But in and of itself, as we survey our members, 51% of our members do all of the work in-house. And so it could potentially be burdensome for some of our very small employers. Thank you.
Senator Wagner, how do you feel about delayed enactment?
Does that bring Ms. Riley along with supporting the bill?
Well, I suspect that it,
Neutral with no problem. Yeah, let's put it, I'll second that.
Mr. Chairman?
all right, so there's a motion, hang on one second. So there's a motion to put a delayed enactment clause on it for a year from now, July 1 of 2020. Is there a second to that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I want to.
Mr. Chairman,
Hang on one second, Senator Sproul.
because these are people doing payroll type things, shouldn't it be at the end of a calendar year? I mean,
So December, or January 1 of 2020?
don't you, I mean, I think it's going to be a
Yeah, I
lot
think that's a
easier
good
for
idea.
January 1,
businesses
2020,
to
that's
do
fine.
calendar
All right.
year.
So that has been moved and seconded. Senator Sproul,
I want to hear her say she can support it. She said had no problem. That's what I say all the time when I'm not telling the truth.
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully to the patron and to you, NFIB would have no problem with it. We will not oppose this bill in any way. And so
Thank you, Lord.
that's
Thank
our
you.
position.
all right.
Mr.
All
Chairman,
right, so the bill is before, motion to amend. All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the amendment is adopted. Bill is before the committee. Is there a motion? Senator Wagner
move to
moves.
report.
Second.
Properly seconded to report the bill. The roll is open.
Love that, 3 votes.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Servo.
It's 1549, is it?
1549.
Okay. I didn't know this bill was on the docket today until 10 minutes ago.
Well, we know what a quick study you are, Senator Servo, so we're confident you can handle it.
Apparently, we were told about 5 hours ago, and so I think the people who need to be here are here. This bill was put in because there's been a split between circuit courts in the state as to what this code section means. And the Consumer Protection Act has an exclusion for small loan companies, is what it says right now. The word small loan company used to be what we referred to as consumer finance companies a long time ago before we did a recodification and gave them a new name, consumer finance companies. And when that recodification happened, that term did not get picked up in the Consumer Protection Act in this code section. And this simply seeks to clean up that error and take care of that, so we don't have any more uncertainty about it. That's basically what this does.
Okay. Are there questions for the patron? Is there anyone here to support the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Dave Urban with the Attorney General's Office. We support the bill for all of the reasons that Senator Servo stated. We believe this was the intent and that this is just updating the code. Small loan companies were small loan companies until, I believe it was 1981. They were small loan companies when the Virginia Consumer Protection Act was enacted in 1977. The code was just not updated at the same time to make the switch to consumer finance companies when that happened in 1981. We urge you to support the bill.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation?
Mr. Chairman, Nicole Brenner with Reed Smith on behalf of the Online Lenders Alliance. We oppose this legislation, takes an exemption for all small loan companies and an entire industry, and carves out an exemption for just one part of the industry, and I'd ask you to oppose it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Chris White, Vector Corporation, here on behalf of Title Max. For the reasons just stated, we also oppose the bill.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Senator Servo, I think we understand the bill. And the committee does operate by motion.
Move the report.
Been moved and hearing no second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded the bill be reported. Clerk, open the roll.
Which one?
4 ayes, 11 nays.
Great.
Okay.
All
We'll
right,
see you,
thank you.
Senator Serville. Thank you. Okay, wait a minute, before everybody before the committee rises, Senator Chafin thinks you have, I'm sorry. You're up. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this is Senate Bill 1272, and this was brought to me by the Virginia Bankers Association. Mr. Chairman, Virginia law allows a bank's board of directors to be comprised of 5 members, but also requires at least 5 directors be present to constitute a quorum. And so obviously a bank with a minimum number of directors would need all of them to be present to constitute a quorum. This bill simply makes the statutory requirements for a quorum on bank boards consistent with federally chartered banks and other Virginia stock corporations by making it a simple majority for the quorum.
Okay, is there anyone opposed to the legislation? Matt, your banker's fine with it? Okay. Committee operates by motion.
Move the report.
Been moved and seconded, the bill be reported. All those, clerk, open the roll. Okay. Okay, that
15
bill's
ayes, 0
reported.
nays.
Senator Norman's bill with a surrogate substitute of shaky proportions thinks he can carry it. So Senator McDougal. why don't
Mr.
you
Chairman,
handle
this
Senator
issue,
Norman's bill.
this issue deals
Clerk,
with,
the committee pay attention, Senate Bill 1729.
this issue deals with workers' comp under I guess it's the Longshoreman Act, is that correct?
Yes.
There's a provision that you could go under the Longshoremen's Act, but the way this change will make it so that if you went under that act, you cannot now go under workers' comp later and get an increased amount. So there was a provision that allowed people to reach back and get back that additional provision. In the meantime, if you picked your direction, you're stuck with it if we pass this.
Yeah. Okay, I think we understand the bill. I think.
Mr. Chairman, there's somebody from the shipyard here.
So this is Mr. Chairman, so this is a bill to outlaw good lawyering?
Yes.
Okay.
Say that again? I remember heard that in.
We'll take ayes and nays on whether there's a good lawyer or not, but having said that, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Scott Kesman from Huntington Ingalls Industries. So what this bill does is workers had a choice under dual jurisdiction. 97% of them went under the Federal Longshore Act because it was a better benefit scheme for the workers. Workers were treated under this act. Doctors knew they were treating them under that act. They were paid under that act. They accepted payment under that act. And everybody went on their merry way until somebody figured out that there was a loophole left from dual jurisdiction and was able to now file medical claims. So these are just medical providers. This doesn't affect the employees. They've had their medical treatment years ago. And so now medical providers are going back and filing claims from 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Don't mess it
seeking
up.
payment again
We got it,
from
don't
the
mess it
same
up.
providers.
We got it,
Okay.
don't mess it up.
I think we understand. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation? Seeing none, the committee operates by
Move
motion.
the report.
Been moved and seconded that this bill be reported. Clerk, open the votes.
Go ahead and vote me. Yeah.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
That bill's reported. Okay. What do we have left? Chafin.
I've got some.
Yeah. Senator Chafin. You have 2 bills?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
How many bills we got left?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, going numerically, the first bill is Senate Bill 1293. That's an uninsured motorist insurance coverage bill. And What this bill seeks to do is to make a few minor tweaks to the uninsured underinsured motorists statute. It was drafted between the trial lawyers and Farm Bureau Insurance, and with feedback and input received from auto carriers. The first change is lines 153 through 157, and it just clarifies that regardless of the scope of released parties set forth in the auto insurance carrier's release, that the only people that can be released are the people that caused the wreck or caused the accident, the tortfeasor, and the tortfeasor's liability carrier. A lot of insurance companies have this big release. Everybody's release is a little different, and each one of them has broad sweeping language about all entities and other parties and so on and so forth. And this just clarifies it's just the parties that are germane to that suit. And most of the remaining changes arise out of a concern that some of the underinsured motorists and underinsured motorists, that when they are handed over to the uninsured motorist carrier to assist with the defense, they think that's their lawyer, okay? Even though that's a lawyer for the insurance company. And so this requires language that dispels that notion and makes it clear that they don't have a lawyer unless they go get their own.
Okay. Are there questions for the patron?
I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm gonna follow my lawyer. Open chain. Everybody he votes, I'm gonna vote. Help me out.
My understanding, and
Senator Spruill wants Senator Obenchain to lawyer up for him, so Senator Obenchain.
I do have some familiarity with this, having tinkered with this provision on a couple of occasions. My understanding is that all's right in the world when the insurance companies and the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association agree on something, and this is one of those instances in which they have come together and are in agreement. And I concur with them that this is a good thing that cleans up this provision of the law.
Let's find out. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation?
That's why I pay him big bucks.
Okay.
Senator Spruill, Mr. Chairman?
Senator Cosgrove.
I would tell Senator Spruill that when those two organizations agree, I get nervous, but I'm going to vote for the bill.
Okay. Hearing no opposition, the committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
Been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 1293 be reported. Clerk, open the rolls.
Fifteen ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, that's one. You want to try for two?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'd like to. The next bill is Senate Bill 1325. There's a committee substitute on this bill.
All right. Motion on a substitute. Senator Obenchain moves and Senator Stewart seconds. Substitute be agreed to. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the substitute's before us.
The substitute just brings the bill into conformity with the House bill. And so this bill deals with the guaranteed asset protection waivers, also otherwise known as gap waivers. A gap waiver is a creditor, is a product whereby a creditor waives the amount of the debt in excess of the borrower's primary insurance in the event of a wreck. So if you drive your car, you buy a car, you financed it, you drive it off the lot, you have a wreck. If you bought gap coverage, you'll get all your money back, okay? Right. If you didn't buy gap coverage, your car isn't worth as much and you're not gonna get all your money back. So it's an optional product that's offered that the consumer pays for. These products are currently sold in the Commonwealth and in other states. And what this bill does is it sets out a mandatory 30-day period during which the customer can return it for a full refund. And number two, it requires that the purchase of the gap waiver be optional. Okay, there wasn't any format for this in our law. The product was just out there being offered. So it basically codifies the existing administrative position that the Bureau of Insurance had provided in a letter written back in 1996. Similar legislation is passed in 21 other states, including surrounding states, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and West Virginia. And it's my understanding that the Bureau is comfortable with this language, that it's been vetted by everybody, and that no one is unhappy.
Who do we have from the Bureau here today? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Don Beatty, Bureau of Insurance. We don't have any problem with this bill.
All right, thank you, Don. Is there anyone opposed to this legislation? Seeing none, it's been moved and seconded that Senate Bill 1325 be reported. Clerk, open the rolls.
15 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, I think that does it for the docket here. Well, yeah, Senator Dunavant's bill will be passed by for the day. That does the docket. Enjoy this rather shorter meeting because it ain't going to be short any longer. So having said that, we're adjourned.
Someone's still.